zero in the fight over transgender bathrooms is this quiet town in Southern Virginia. The unlikely face at the center of it all? Gavin Grimm. When you realized you were trans, you actually went to the doctor.
I went to a gender therapist who specialized in seeing transgender youth, and it was very apparent to her very quickly that transition had to be done as quickly as we possibly could because I was suffering greatly.
You and your mom went to school when you were...
As quickly as we possibly could because I was suffering greatly.
You and your mom went to school when you were a sophomore. You explained to the school what was going on. And my understanding is your high school was pretty accepting and receptive. Is that accurate?
I was assured that I would be respected at the school. I would be called exclusively Gavin and exclusively by male pronouns.
At Gloucester High School, Gavin initially used the bathroom in the nurse's office, but it was inconvenient to get to from his classes. And since he was already using the men's room at restaurants and movie theaters, he asked the principal if he could do the same at school. The principal agreed, and Gavin says he used the boys' room without incident for nearly 2 months.
For me, it was a matter of going in and going out and minding my own business, as most everyone does in a bathroom.
But then the school board got involved. The school board ruled Gavin could no longer use the men's room. Instead, they used 3 unisex bathrooms, something Gavin wasn't interested in.
The problem is, I'm not looking for a compromise. I'm not looking for separate but equal. I'm looking for the same opportunities that my peers enjoy every single day, and that includes using the same restroom as any other student.
When you first learned your case was going to be heard before the Supreme Court, what was your reaction?
The Supreme Court aspect of it is daunting, if only because it's the Supreme Court. I mean, this could go really well or it could go really wrong, and I have to be prepared for that reality. But regardless of what happens, the end will justify the means, because even if we suffer a loss, we've generated a conversation that's moved the nation in the right direction. And if we win, and it's after I graduate, I'm still doing good for a lot of other kids.
I'm 16 and I use he, him pronouns.
Okay. Have you heard about the Gavin Grimm case? And what do you think about this issue?
I have heard about it. I've been following it with quite a bit of interest, mostly because, it's not very often that we get to hear about trans guys in the news. I think that, obviously it sucks that, this is happening, and I wish that people would be more open-minded, but also, at least it's getting out there, because I think that it's important that we show both sides of the narrative.
Okay. When you're in public, what bathrooms do you use? What about when you are in school?
In public, I tend to just try and avoid using the restroom as much as possible, because safety is an issue sometimes. If I have to, I think that it's safe, I'll use the men's restroom, but occasionally I have to duck into the women's depending on where I am. And then at school, I just don't really, because we have a gender neutral bathroom, but I think I've seen it unlocked maybe 3 times this year. I mean, I've definitely gotten comments, and some of them are more obnoxious than others. Sometimes it's just people being like, oh, you're in the wrong bathroom, and I'm like, I'm not, but thank you. Most of the time nothing happens, but every time I go in, I'm like, is this the time that something happens? Because I've had friends who were assaulted in bathrooms, and so every time I go in, I'm like, is this the time that happens to me?
Do you take any safety precautions when you use the bathroom?
Well, it depends if I'm alone or not. If I have a friend who identifies as male, it's like people always talk about having a bathroom buddy who like you can send in to scout out the restroom before you use it, or just to go in with you to make sure that no one messes with you. But I don't always have someone with me, so
Right.
when I don't, I just sort of like go in holding my phone and hoping for the best. Like, it's just as much about the bathrooms as it was ever about like water fountains or who got to sit where on the bus. Like, that wasn't the actual issue. No, like, people weren't just, oh, well, I'm upset that I can't sit at the front of the bus, but that's the only issue. Like, it was never about that. It was never about one thing. It's about the fact that, you know, you're just trying to get through your day and get through your life. No, you don't care that much about the actual bathroom. You have a problem with trans people. Instead of choosing to go, oh, this makes me really uncomfortable. I wonder why that is. What does that say about me? What does that say about the situation? Their automatic judgment is just, no, we're not gonna, like, even allow this to be a thing.
What's your name and what pronouns do you prefer?
My name is Elaine Reed. I use the feminine pronoun.
Have you heard about the Gavin Green case? And what do you think about this issue?
Everybody has a right to be who they are, should have been, from birth on.
What kind of bathrooms do you use in public, and what about work?
I live and work as a woman because I underwent surgery 20 years ago.
What was the other one? Yeah, how did you feel about it? Were you nervous?
No, not at all, because I knew it's the right thing for me to do. You get pee, you know, I would have committed suicide if I didn't go through with what I did.
Yep. Was that important?
I knew who I was from little on.
How old do you think you were?
I was about 10 years old.
How long until you from 10 years old to when did you have to live like that until you transitioned?
I transitioned in September 8th, 1993,
How old were you then?
in my 50s.
So 40 years you lived
Yeah.
without, like, knowing you.
I went to court to change my name to my legal name, who I am now. And I went to the clerk of court to get my driver's license and a new identity.
And how did that feel?
Huh?
How did that feel? To become,
Wonderful.
yeah.
It's like a weight of the world was lifted off my shoulder.